Given all of that, what are the polls saying? Time now for our new feature. It's the daily polling pit stop to analyse what they're suggesting. Church Wyman's with us. I can tell you likes the alliteration from Delta Poll, of course. It's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Where are we with the polls?
Well, it was an interesting weekend because we had polls coming out of Conservative Party members, of course, this crucial group that will elect the new Prime Minister, and the general public, both the public generally and also Conservative supporters. And it was quite a mixed bag in terms of Conservative Party members. We saw that Liz Truss was actually growing her lead over Rishi Sunak, and so she's over 60% now, which is a strong lead, but actually in line with performances in previous Conservative membership contests, where the winners tend to win by some distance. So it's looking good for her in that respect. But in terms of the general public, the situation was more interesting. At Delta Poll, we ran a voting intention question that showed that the Labour Party were 11 points ahead. But when you ran hypothetical questions asking what if Liz Truss were leader, what if Rishi Sunak were leader, we saw the situation didn't change very much. OK, and if you're 60%, 40% ahead, or however you do the maths, you're much better at these figures than me, at this stage of the race, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win. Definitely not. And what we saw across all of the polls was high levels of don't knows. On some of the questions, for instance, who would be best on the economy, you do get strong feelings, in this case, towards Rishi Sunak for the general public, but you still have large numbers of people, sometimes 40, 50% of people saying they don't know. And that's true for the general public, but it's also true for Conservative supporters, Conservative voters and Conservative members. And so with so many weeks still remaining, anything could still happen because the polls are only ever a snapshot of where we are at the moment. And both these candidates are firstly relatively unknown still, and that's true among the general public and true among Conservative members, but they're also relatively untested. And so we've seen them now in 2 but not 3 debates. We have another debate tonight and a following one tomorrow. So this is your latest Delta poll. Talk us through it. This was the question about who would be the best Prime Minister, and it highlights really the problem that the Conservative face, because this is among Conservative voters from the last election. So that group the Conservatives really need to hold on to. And we found that a plurality of them across all of the different Conservative groups thought that it was right, a good thing, that Boris Johnson resigned. And yet, when given the choice between all 3 candidates, it was Boris Johnson who was the favourite. So, yes, they think it was right that he leaves, but they're not convinced by his replacement. And again, it illustrates that the Conservatives have some way to go. And just on that, before we have a look at the YouGov poll, where you used to work, of course, 97% of 2019 Tory voters valued honesty in a leader. Now, that chap there has been sacked twice for lying, and that's why he's lost his job probably a 3rd time. Yes, but before he got the job last time, 97% of them valued honesty as well. And so it goes to show that people can value these things, but are sometimes willing to compromise on their ideals to get what they want in other respects. OK, so they think he's got the best chance of beating Labour at the next election. Yes, that's true. Is what they're saying. Yeah. Let's have a look at the YouGov poll as well, if we may. Here we go. 56% value being able to win the next general election as a top priority. So that's, again, playing into what your poll is saying. Yes, and second, behind winning the next election, which is, of course, all important to Conservative Party members, was control of immigration. And we saw in the headlines in this morning's newspapers how both of the candidates are going very hard on that. And of course, they will be doing their own polling of members and of Conservative voters as well. And so they'll know what their top priorities are. And it's no surprise to me that that's then reflected in the headlines. And how will the polling pit stop change depending on the hustings and the TV debates? TV debates, I should say, all important TV debates. TV debates have the potential. They always have the potential to make a difference. But after the, shall we say, rather aggressive approach, certainly these 2 candidates took to the previous debates, it will be interesting to see whether they go for a more conciliatory approach with the 2 debates that are upcoming. I don't imagine they'll have an immediate impact on the polling, but what they may do is put a marker down that the other can constantly refer back to, and that cumulative effect could make a difference. And voters care about TV debates because? because it's a chance to see these candidates, really, in many cases, for the first time. Many people don't know who Liz Truss is. Many people might have heard of Rishi Sunak. They're really not familiar with any of his policies or ideas. So they provide an opportunity, and in many cases, the first opportunity to get themselves in front of these people.
In summary, she's way ahead at the moment, but nothing to be taken for granted.
In summary, it's Liz Truss's to lose, but there is so much time left and so many people who are undecided that it's very much all to play for.